ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायामुद्धीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यम् ईश्वरम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Welcome to the fifth session, and tomorrow will be the last session of question answers. Today we'll complete the presentation on this seminar called The Art and Heart of Spirituality. And so far in the 4 sessions, we have discussed how the heart of any spiritual process is, especially Bhakti Yoga, is hearing is the first and most important step, as was exemplified by the Brahmana Patnis, whose pastime we discussed yesterday. And second is the attitude of service. Third is investing emotions in our spiritual practices. And fourth, we discussed in great detail, was the concept of home state, or a state of activity or a state of being in our spiritual life where we feel connected to Krishna the most. For each one of us, our home state could be different. For some, it is deity worship. For some, it is chanting. Wherever you can best connect to Krishna. So that is what I meant by home state. So that is also one of the most important ways by which we can add life to our spiritual practices. And the most important, which we discussed yesterday, was the principle of surrender or shelter, which was exemplified by the Brahmana Patnis. Surrender means allowing ourselves to be influenced by the Lord. Surrender means to listen, to allow, and surrender is exact opposite of struggle. And we also discussed in great detail during the course of this presentation about the concept of a home state, a spiritual practice that we need to discover, which helps us best connect to Krishna. And you can know what is your home state. You can know what exactly helps you feel connected to Krishna when you see that particular activity or that particular state has some characteristics. Like you will feel safe when you are in that activity. Like for example, for some, when they come to temple, I gave the example of that old man who came to our temple and he would just stay in the temple morning and evening. That was his safe space. So home state means a space where you feel totally safe and where you are satisfied, where you don't need a certificate from the world glorifying you, where whether you're honored or dishonored, it doesn't matter. You come back, that is your point of equilibrium. And that is the state where you are small, satisfied, and you want to give, you want to serve. Like this old man was actually preaching Krishna consciousness, although he was himself chanting Om Namah Shivaya in a Krishna temple. So a natural desire to give arises, appreciation, gratitude. We were all born in the state of our spiritual home state. So whenever we are connected to Krishna the best, we want to give Krishna's love. We want to give that which we experience to others. Also, a home state is when you are spontaneous. You are not, it is natural. You are not organized. You are not worried about the time. It is when, if time were to stop at that moment, you would be happy to continue what you are doing. So this is a space where you listen, where you are attentive, where you surrender, where you feel loved, and you know you are not in your home state when you are pursuing an activity out of fear, or there is some kind of insecurity, or there is some kind of anxiety, or a sense of duty, obligation. You feel you have to do it. A home state is where you want to do that activity in your Krishna consciousness. Office state, which is opposite of home state, is when there is duty, obligation, time bound, where there is a lot of struggle, and you try to cut corners, you try to control, you seek approval, appreciation, acknowledgement. So it's an unnatural state. So therefore, many of us, although we are chanting our japa, which is supposed to be an ideal home state, which is our shelter, which is where we take shelter of Krishna, it becomes a struggle. And it becomes like an office, a duty, an obligation. So if a person is staying in the office all the time, he'll get stressed. He needs a break. He needs to come back home. So if we are doing our duty, obligation, commitment to our Guru and Krishna by chanting our vows, we also need to spend time in those activities which naturally nourishes us. And while chanting Hare Krishna patiently, as a sense of duty, we also pray to Krishna to help us give taste. But while that will take time, we also presently have our home state. For some, it is Kirtan. So spend more time in Kirtan after chanting your minimum committed rounds. So therefore, let us know that there is, if you're always in your office, you'll get frustrated. There are some people I know, they are so disconnected from their home, they have no home life. So they're in office, and then they go, after office hours, they go and party. And after party, they just collapse, they come back to work. So office and party. There is no safe home for them. There is no shelter. So there are people, they have three lives: home life, office life, and party life. So they may party, they may enjoy, and they may work hard, but ultimately everybody is looking for stability. We are Sat Chit Ananda. Remember, Sat means eternal, constant stability. So we need a space of eternality, a space, a shelter. So before we go back to our eternal constitutional position, back to back home, back to Godhead in the Golok Vrindavan, we need to experience that here in this body. Jivan Mukta Sa Uchyate. We need to experience liberation. We need to experience Krishna here. So therefore, we need to have a home state here. Otherwise, even as devotees, we will be shuttling between office state, which is duty and obligations in Krishna consciousness, and then we would go into gross sense gratification, which is a pleasure state. We either gratify our senses, and after gratifying our senses, we will grudgingly do bhakti because we have to do our duty. So between our purpose, which is the highest purpose to serve Krishna, we will be shifting from purpose-centered life to gross pleasure-centered life. Therefore, in between, we need, if we are centered on a peace state, a home state where we are sheltered, then we will be saved. Therefore, only when we are connected to Lord, genuinely we experience Krishna in our lives, then we'll feel safe. Then we'll experience peace. And Krishna says, Ashantasya kutah sukham. Krishna says, without experiencing this peace, union with the Lord, we cannot actually progress in our spiritual practices. Therefore, let us focus on this aspect. And Srimad Bhagavatam reveals this very beautifully. The home state concept in the example of Vritrasur. And I would like to spend the next few minutes discussing Vritrasur's case study, which underscores the point about how each one of us needs to have a home state. We need to be situated in those spiritual activities or that consciousness where we feel peace, sheltered, safe, loved. We feel a sense of belongingness with Krishna. A state of existence when we know there is nothing wrong. I belong to Krishna. I am safe. That is a state when I surrender, when I'm willing to receive. I'm allowing Krishna to take charge of my life. So Vritrasur was in a demon's court, but he was a devotee at heart. So there are two parties in the cosmic universal management, just like we have Republicans, Democrats, Conservatives, Liberals, and in India, BJP, Congress. So there are two parties in the universal affairs, the demon party and the Devta party. So sometimes Devta parties are strong, sometimes the demon party. And so Vritrasur was in the demon party. But there are many people who may be in one party, but they don't become villains. They are in that party because of their legacy, because of their issues in the past. So Prahlad Maharaj was in the demon party, but he was a devotee. So it's basically a party. Just because somebody is born in an Asura family doesn't mean he's a demon. So Vritrasur was in a demon body and he was having a fight with Indra. And now, as he was about to leave his body, his real nature comes out and he offers these 4 prayers, out of which we'll just take 1 or 2. These 4 prayers are called as the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. And in these prayers, Vritrasur is revealing how, through his prayer, he is revealing to us how we need to have that connection with Krishna, where I experience Krishna. Aham are tava padeka mula dasanudasa bhavitasmi bhuya manasmareta supater gunamste grini tava karma karo tukaya. He says, my dear Lord, I am the servant of your servant. Aham are tava padeka mula. I want to take shelter of your lotus feet. Dasanudasa bhavitasmi bhuya. Again and again, I emphasize my position as a servant of your servants. And I want my mind to be fixed only in your lotus feet. Manas mareta supate gunamste. The last line is very important. Grini tava karma karo tukaya. With my words, thoughts, minds. I want to be completely anchored on you, on your lotus feet. And I don't want anything else, my dear Lord. I don't want a heavenly planet. I don't want to be anywhere where your remembrance or your shelter is not there. In other words, Vritrasur is saying that nothing is a home for him except the Lord's lotus feet. Nanaka prishtham nachaparameshtham na sarvabhaumam narasadipatyam na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va samanjasatvai virahai akankshe nanaka prishtham. I don't want heavenly abodes. I don't want liberation. Na sarvabhaumam. I don't want the conquering of all the abodes, heavenly abodes. Na rasadipatyam. I don't want sovereignty over the rasatal or the heavenly planets. I don't want yoga siddhi, mystic powers. I don't want anything where I'm separated from you. Viraiya Kangshe. I just want to be with you, my dear Lord. So when we're talking about home state, we're talking about an extremely important thing that sadhakas, devotees in Krishna consciousness movement, we need to have is an activity or a state where we feel that home connection with Krishna, where it is not a duty, where it is not an obligation. Otherwise, from obligation and duty, pressure, We will run to sense gratification, which is like going to party, a bar. Sense gratification and uh, a sense of duty, because duty means choices. We have to keep saying no and we have to keep saying yes. So when we keep saying yes, morning to night, we keep struggling. What we go through is what is called as decision fatigue. The more choice, and it's a psychologically proven concept. Division fatigue is, when we keep making choices, those divisions lead to fatigue and exhaustion, and we'll end up betraying our own values. Some top CEOs have been seen that they take excellent decisions during the early morning hours, and by the time the day ends, they're so exhausted by decision fatigue, by making constant choices, that by the end of the day, they land up having a very promiscuous life, or they do something that shocks even them. They are just so exhausted that they give in to gratify their lower nature, even though they don't want to. They are helplessly dragged by their senses, because in the initial part of the day they have been struggling to make choices. Therefore, the top CEOs, some of the top leaders in this world, they're very smart. They try to reduce their decision fatigue. I heard about how Warren Buffett, Barack Obama, many of these leaders, they have fixed schedule in the morning so that they don't have to make choices. Like Warren Buffett has a fixed breakfast, one apple and I think something very light. And that's what he will eat every day so that he doesn't have to worry, he doesn't have to make a choice. Obama has the same coat suit which he wears, 2 or 3 colors. He just has to pick one so that he doesn't have to waste time choosing. No time wasted on deciding, because that sucks away your energy. So we make constant choices, we make constant struggle. We make a sadhana card. I have to hear this, I have to do this, I have to do this seva. Fine. That's all purifying. That purifies the soul because it is our service to Krishna. It brings us closer to Krishna. But because we are connected with the material energy does take its toll. Therefore, along with our obligations and duties, we also need to pursue those activities which really personally we can individually connect to Krishna the best. Some of us really connect to Krishna through Kunti's prayers. Some of us connect to Krishna through Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. So each one of us has a flavor, has a special attraction. So we need to search for that. We need to discover that. And Vritrasura is appealing through his prayers that how this experience of Krishna is what we eventually need. And in one of his most beautiful prayers, he says, "My dear Lord, I love you. And I'm waiting for you, my dear Krishna. I'm waiting for you," just like he gives 3 analogies. अजातपक्ष इव मातरं खगा स्तन्येषु यतावत् सतराक्षुदार्ता प्रियं प्रियेवा विशुतं विशन्ना मनोरविन्दाक्ष दिदृक्षते त्वाम्. He says a small bird is waiting in the nest for his mother bird to get food. So I'm also waiting for you like that. अजातपक्ष इव मातरं खगा स्तन्येषु yatavat satarakshudarta. I'm waiting for you like a calf is waiting for the mother cow to come so that he can get milk. I'm waiting for you like priyam priyeva vishutam vishanna. I'm waiting for you like a lover waits for her beloved. Mano ravindaksha didrikshate. My mind is completely absorbed in you. So our acharyas give commentary and purport to these verses, saying that Vritrasura is entering into progressively higher realms of absorption. First he says, I love you like a bird loves his mother, but unfortunately the bird is waiting for the mother to come and give food. That is his consciousness. But I'm not wanting to be like a bird. I would like to be like a calf, which calf herself goes to the cow, mother cow, for milk. That is the difference between a bird which can't go anywhere, which is lying in the nest, waiting for the mother to come and feed. But the calf himself goes to the mother cow. But Vritrasura says, even this is not an ideal standard. I would like to be like a lover who is waiting for the beloved, because the calf wants milk from the mother. The bird wants food from the mother. But I, like a lover, I want to wait for you, my dear Lord, not because I want anything from you, but because I want to give you service. I want to please you. So this is the golden mantra. This is the five magic words which can take, which can catapult our spiritual life, our sadhana bhakti to the next level. And these five magic words are, we all know the three magic words. I love you, right? These are very popular words, and the whole world talks about it. But these are not magical words, because love, when a person says I love you, essentially the person loves himself, and we love another person because in some way the other person gratifies our senses. Somebody may be a good singer, somebody may be somebody may cook well, somebody may have something in them which satisfies me, so I say I love you. Like in some traditions they call our love for God as fish love or a pizza love. I love pizza because pizza satisfies me, so I say I love you. So I don't actually love pizza, I love myself, and pizza satisfies my desires to satisfy myself. So I say I love pizza. When I say I love you, God, I love you, Krishna, we say that because Krishna satisfies my desires. But therefore, these three words are not magical words. What Vritrasura is teaching us is five magical words. These are five words. How can I please you? How can I please you, my dear Krishna? So these five words, when we say, when we come in front of the Lord and we say, okay, Krishna, I want to take my bhakti to the next level. I've always been thinking about myself, I, me, mine, right? Now, I want to practice bhakti at the level of you. I want to enter Krishna's space. So we enter Krishna's space by asking the Lord, how can I please you? So just see, when a person says, expresses his love, I love you, that is not as pleasing to a person as when a person offers, how can I please you? Because when I'm wanting to please you, you are the center. But when I say only I love you, you may not be the center. It may be I myself. Therefore, let us now move from the I space to God's space, to Krishna's space. And that movement happens when I, or when an individual soul begins to think of the Lord's pleasure and begins to practice his devotional service in a mood of wanting to give pleasure to the Lord's transcendental senses. And this is the first step of surrender. Because when I say, how can I please you, my dear Lord? And we wait for the answer, we will hear amazing answers. We will be directed by the Lord within our heart to offer our best to Krishna. Many of us don't want to say, how can I please you? Because we are afraid of the answer that we may hear. Because, in Krishna consciousness, in spiritual life, we have to consistently, spiritual life basically means we have to consistently give up something and accept something. Spiritual growth happens when we give up something lower and accept something higher. That is spiritual life. So we have to ask ourselves, am I ready to give up my lower pursuits and accept something higher? So many of us in our initial days, we gave up some distractions, some temptations, and we accepted spiritual goals. Fine, that was years ago. Today, now, can I give up something for the Lord and accept something? I'm not ready. I'm afraid. I feel, no, I gave up my independence. I'm chanting 16 rounds. I've given up meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. So now I am a devotee. I can't give up anything else now. No. That you gave up was 20 years ago. Now you have to give up something else to get Krishna's love. So consciously we have to give up something. Consistently we have to give up something and accept Krishna's love. So now we may not be ready for that. That is surrender. But we may not be ready for that. So I take comfort in the fact that 20 years ago I gave up something for Krishna. But Krishna wants us to fill our heart. He wants to fill our heart with his love, but he wants to know if we are willing to give up something to receive his love. So when we ask Krishna, how can I please you? And wait for the answer, Krishna is going to inspire us. He's going to reveal the answer to us. Prabhu, give up this and accept this. So we may have to increase our commitment. We may have to increase our rounds in bhakti, or we may have to improve our standard of bhakti. Somewhere Krishna will reveal to us. And this requires courage. But this is the step of surrender. How can I please you? Madhavendra Puri followed this gold standard. He was only thinking of satisfying his deity Gopal. And therefore he went all the way to Ramana and brought sandalwood for the pleasure of the Lord. He didn't consider what was difficult for him. He didn't consider his own inconveniences. He was fully thinking of how he could please the Lord. So therefore, I agree. We may not be at the level of telling Krishna that Krishna, I surrender to you. Krishna, I offer everything to you. I'm like Draupadi. Fine. I cannot surrender like that. But at least I can begin by asking the Lord, my dear Lord, how can I please you? What can I do to make my Krishna consciousness more sublime? Let us say we can't even do that. Let us say we are full of material desires. Fine. Even if we have material desires, let us not leave Krishna. Let us come to Krishna and let us ask Krishna, beg Krishna to help us fulfill those desires. Like Dhruv Maharaj approached Krishna. I was recently hearing a class by his base Radhikaraman Prabhu, Ravi Gupta. And he said, our problem is not that we are going to Krishna with our material desires. Our problem is that we are not going to Krishna although we have material desires. Because if we don't go to Krishna and we have material desires, we will try to fulfill them through other ways. We'll go to other people. Now, let us go to Krishna and let Krishna purify our heart. So therefore, so it is important that we surrender to Krishna and we accept Krishna and we come closer to Krishna some way. Otherwise, our bhakti will remain fear-induced. These Brahmanas who realized that their wives were great advanced devotees, they condemned themselves, the Brahmanas condemned themselves for not serving Krishna. But what did they do? They still had fear of Kamsa. And because of fear of Kamsa, they did not go to Krishna. So the Brahmanas were so fearful that they could not go to Krishna. So that was fear, So many of us, we may be practicing spiritual life, but we may be having some insecurities and fear. So therefore, the best way to overcome all of this and come closer to Krishna is by beginning to ask, let us ask this question, Krishna, how can I please you? And at least some time of the day, let us spend in the space of surrender, shelter, where we are allowing Krishna to reveal to us, where we allow Krishna to influence us. And we do all of this by beginning to listen to the holy name. When we chant Hare Krishna, if we can simply listen to the holy name, we are actually listening to Krishna's instructions. So our spirituality right now demands that we raise the bar. And we raise the bar when we approach Krishna with some love. Let us change, let us what we say, change the gear, let us up the ante, let us take it to the next level. And that is from fear-induced bhakti. We have Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Bhaya, many people worship God out of fear. So many of us, are we induced? Is it Bhaya Bhakti? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there is Asha Buddhi also. Like, many people go to God because they get something. And there are some who worship God out of a sense of duty. They have gratitude and they feel its sense of duty. But the highest is prema, where we serve God because we love the Lord. So we may not be able to serve the Lord out of love 24 hours, but at least something we could offer to the Lord somewhere with sincere love. Like Srila Prabhupada said, we are dogs of Krishna. Just like a dog is faithful, Srila Prabhupada said, we have this Kantimala. This is like a dog's leash. We want to be Krishna's dog. And a dog is very faithful. And I'm staying here in this small town, village setting. And I have become, my relationship with dogs actually changed a lot after I came here. I've always been scared of dogs, allergic to dogs, sick of dogs. And I could never even go near them or to touch them. But here in Udupi, over the last 3 months that I'm staying here, I've become very close friends with many dogs. So I want to tell you one small personal story, which has helped me understand how I could approach Krishna the same way these dogs are having a relationship with me. So when I would go out to the temple from here, which is around a 13 minutes walk, so there are dogs at every 50 70 meters, there is one dog which is the boss of that area. So many dogs would always bark at me and they would growl and they would have such a menacing look. And I would be scared. And sometimes I would even carry a stick. But somehow my relationship with dogs remained bad. And one day, 7 dogs at the same time attacked me. And fortunately, I had a small stick, but that wouldn't save me. An auto rickshaw came. I jumped into the auto rickshaw, and that I narrowly survived that day. Then I came back home and I wondered what went wrong. How can I change the whole situation? Then one of my friends suggested that you should feed the dogs. So next day, I took some biscuits, and I started giving biscuits to the dogs. As the dogs came barking, I would throw the biscuits at another side, and the dogs would go and eat those biscuits. There are many dogs. When I'm walking, some dog would see me, and dogs would get scared. There is some fear these dogs would have, and they would run away. And the other dogs would bark at me. They're also fearful. But some dogs, out of fear, they bark, they try to attack you, and some out of fear run away from you. But it is fear induced. It is insecurity. It is a feeling of being threatened. But since I started giving these biscuits, the dogs would begin by barking, but as soon as they would see the biscuit, they would continue to bark at me. And after I left, they would eat the biscuit. So I saw the dogs slowly began to understand that here is a man who feeds us. So I would go, and the dog, I would see many other dogs. Many dogs would even continue to run away from me. But some dogs would look at me, give out one yell, loud yell, and then they would realize, oh, no, this fellow has changed. I think he's going to feed us. So then they would come close, suspicious, unsure of what I'm going to do. And as I take out one biscuit and break the biscuit and throw it, then the dog would understand, okay, he is my friend. So the dog would very suspiciously, fearfully eat that biscuit, keep looking at me out of fear. So this is the second stage of the dog. So similarly, we are like in the first stage of our relationship with Krishna. We are afraid of Krishna. We run away from Krishna. There are many people who give galis to Krishna, who deny Krishna's existence. We think Krishna is going to threaten my sense gratification. We think God is going to destroy my life. We are just afraid of God's presence in our lives. We don't want God. Some of us understand, God is, he can give me my wealth, my job, a good wife. So God will give me some biscuits. So we are looking at him suspiciously. We are thinking, is he a friend? We are unsure. We are trying to figure out, is he a friend? Does he give me something? So many of us are like that dog. But I realized in my relationship with these dogs in this village, the third stage is very exciting. When the dog comes wagging its tail, and as soon as I throw the biscuit, he eats it, again comes to me, wags his tail. Basically, the dog is expressing gratitude. Gratitude, but he wants something. So as I give the biscuit, he wags his tail more. But he's constantly in needing. But he's grateful. And he will always be there. He'll come to my doorstep. He'll come to our gate. He's like my bodyguard. He'll bark for me. But I'm experiencing now with some dogs here, relationship at the fourth level. I'm amazed. There are these dogs who come running to me when they see me, and I give them biscuits. They don't take the biscuit. They look at the biscuit. They again keep looking at me with love in their eyes, and they keep wagging their tail. And first time I realized, why is this dog not taking the biscuits that I'm throwing? And the dog is just coming close to me, almost touching my body. And I was like, yeah, I don't like this. But then I realized at one point, this dog is looking for affection. My God, when I realized that, I said, I can't give you affection. I can only give you biscuits. Just leave me alone, man. But the dog wouldn't leave me. He came running, and I had so many biscuits I had put for the dog, but the dog would just be with me. Finally, with great courage, I took my left hand, I rubbed the forehead of the dog. Oh my God, the dog was so happy. He was wagging his tail. He was so joyful. Then I ran away, and the dog was running with me. Finally, I had to like kind of scare the dog. Hey, get out! I drove him away. So the dog went back, wondering why is he driving me away. And after I left, then I turned back and I saw the dog is still looking in my direction. And when the dog was convinced that I've left, then the dog started eating those biscuit and bread crumbles that I had thrown. Means the dog still needs that food. And the dog is grateful, but he first wanted my love. then the biscuit, then the food. See, look at the transition. First there was fear, then there was a need for food, then there was gratitude, and finally there was a need for love. And then now when there was need for love, that doesn't mean the dog didn't need food. The dog still needed food, but love was paramount and food became secondary. So in our relationship with God, also it's something like that. We are like dogs, right? And Krishna is our eternal master. God is our wonderful master. So initially we may have fear, insecurities, worry. Oh, is God threatening my existence? I have my sense identification. I have my freedom. I have this. I have that. God should not disturb me. But as we start counting our blessings, as we start praying to God for our material desires, and we actually feel a connection somewhere, and we start experiencing the crumbles that Krishna is giving us. And then eventually, if we add the element of gratitude, that gratitude will help us take our bhakti to the next level, which means gratitude is that which will act as a bridge from asha buddhi, from bhakti which is centered on demanding from God, to the level of wanting only Krishna's love, wanting to feel a sense of home, a sense of safety, sense of peace, sense of love, sense of belongingness with Krishna. To feel a sense of belongingness with Krishna, we need to feel rich love in our hearts. That rich love in our heart is a gift of Krishna, which comes from Krishna when we build the bridge of gratitude in our lives. So, like that dog, which was wagging its tail and gratefully accepting the pieces of bread and biscuits that I gave, eventually that dog came to the stage of wanting only love. And love became the main need of the dog. Similarly, a devotee, when he is constantly grateful for the gifts that Krishna is giving, and he recognizes the so many biscuits and breads that Krishna is throwing in his life, that gratitude will help us come to a stage when we can, like Vritrasu, tell Krishna, Krishna, I don't want all of this. In fact, we will accept gratefully when Krishna gives because it is Krishna's prasad. But Krishna, I want you. Vritrasu is saying, Maye viraya kankshi. I don't want anything. Nanaka prishtam, nachapara meshyam. I'm just waiting for you. Priyam priyeva, vishitam vishanna. So this is my aspiration, my dear Lord. So this is Vritrasu's prayer. This is the mood of a devotee, of wanting only Krishna's love. Now, as I said earlier, we may not be at that level right now. I may not be able to say, Krishna, I only want your love. At least let us start wagging our tails. At least let us start expressing gratitude to Krishna for what he is giving us. That will give us the gift of love. And when we tell Krishna with that longing in our eyes, just like my stone heart, my wretched hard heart, Braj Bihari Das, I hate dogs. I hated dogs. I was disgusted with dogs. In fact, when I was in Europe last 2-3 years, everyone is with dogs and I would be sick of it. But I have such a strong, hard, stone heart. But because these dogs are wagging their tails and they're looking for affection and love, my hard heart melted and I could feel affection. So I was thinking, if a dog can attract and melt my heart, if I wag my tail, if I tell Krishna I love him and I want only your love, won't Krishna's heart, Krishna is already the most soft-hearted personality. Krishna is desperate that we come to him. Won't Krishna be happy? Won't Krishna be waiting for us to express gratitude? And won't he be more than happy to reciprocate with us if we tell Krishna, Krishna, I want to feel your love. I want to belong to you. I'm yours. This is what Krishna is waiting to hear. And therefore, let us let us let us change our relationship. Through this seminar, the main goal is fear is all pervading. Let us move from fear induced bhakti. Let us move from the stage of our insecurities and fear, and let us now make a step. Let us go a step further in our bhakti, where we offer love. I'm sure all of us have seen fear is the bhayam is the most prominent principle in material. I remember as a new bhakta when we joined the temple, We had drama festival. We have this CBGS, a very famous costume company in Mumbai, which provides costumes for different dramas, television serials. So we went there, and we would get these costumes at a discounted price. We would take it on rent. So one day we thought, why not catch the owner of this dress maker, dress supplier, so that we'll have a permanent long-term relationship and we can make him a debut. So when we tried to meet the owner, one of the employees there who had actually connected us to the shop, he said, Prabhus, I'm sorry to tell you, but the owner is in a bad shape. He is constantly harassed by the underworld for money because this fellow has made a lot of money through his costumes. So this man is running away in fear. Every night he spends in a different hotel in Mumbai. He lives in the hotel. He doesn't have a home. But sometimes he comes to this shop, but he comes in different costumes. Look at him. He has a costume shop. He wears some of his own costumes. He comes sometimes in burqa, like a Muslim woman. Sometimes he comes as a Sardarji. He comes in weird costumes. He finds out what's happening in his shop and then again escapes because the mafia is chasing him for money and more money. So he's earning a lot of money, but he's living in fear and anxiety. And he is never living at home. He is not safe. So we have come to spiritual life, but we are coming with a lot of baggage of our fears and insecurities and anxieties. So let us now take this step further. Let us now we have our anxiety. We can't just wish them away. What we can do is we can begin by asking Krishna, Krishna, I want to please you. How can I please you? How can I come close to you? And I want to thank you. So when we thank Krishna, when we express gratitude, we are like that dog who is no longer looking at the biscuits first. He is looking up at the master who is throwing the biscuits and wagging his tail. So let us make that step. Right now, I know many of us are fearful of Corona. Now, Corona will go away one day. But do you think we'll be safe? Last 3 months, have you not heard of people dying of heart attacks, accidents? Something is always round the corner. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro narsimha nartasya chagadamudannvati majjato no taptasya tat pratividiryayanja seshthas tavad vibhotanubrata vadupekshitana. Prahlad Maharaj is praying that, my dear Lord, Balasya neha sharanam, the child could be protected by the best parents, but still the child could die. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro narsimha nartasya chagadamudannvati majjato. Now the boat may be very strong in the ocean, but still the boat could capsize, the boat could collapse and drown. And taptasya tat pratividirya yanja seshta. And one may be treated by the best doctors, best medicines may be administered, but still the person could die. So if you are not casting your merciful glance, I have no protection in this world. So let us somehow begin that connection with Krishna. Recognize Krishna's gifts to us. Let us come home to Krishna. Let us connect to Krishna. And then I've seen, like including myself, sometimes it's very difficult to connect to Krishna because Krishna, I can connect to another human being maybe. It's easy to have relationships with human beings and with Krishna. Fine. So we can have relationship with devotees. We can have heart-to-heart relationships, connection with devotees. Or let us say you're not so attracted by direct Krishna consciousness. No problem. You at least still have your higher self. I spoke about lower self. Remember higher self and highest self. Lower self is when our mind drags us. Mind is holding the reins. That is which activates our lower nature. Then we have a higher self where we have awareness and we hold the reins of our lives. So if we are connected to our higher self where we live by principles, then if we at least connect to our higher self, then we will be able to spend some time in a day connecting to our highest self. Remember, I had explained our highest self is when the Lord directs our life. That is a state of surrender. So lowest self is when the mind drags us. Higher self is when I control the mind, when I'm aware of my mind. And highest self is when Krishna controls me. So to connect to our highest self of being completely surrendered to the Lord, we at least need to rise from our lower nature to our higher nature. Before we become a Shuddha Bhakta, we have to rise from being a Godas to a Goswami. Godas means a slave of his senses. Goswami, Srila Prabhupada said, we all have to become. That is, we need to come to a stage where we are more aware and can more control and be be on a firm footing in bhakti. See, if we are on that stage where we are more aware and more in control of our lives and invoking our higher virtues, then in that stage it becomes easy to practice Kevala Bhakti. It becomes easy to offer our hearts to Krishna. Like I'll give an example. I think all of us have different home states. For me, kindness and love is also a home state. When I'm kind to someone, I see that my consciousness becomes good. So I remember I would chant my japa. It wasn't so good, but when I would go out for my walk, and if the dogs barked at me, and I would be agitated, and I would come back and more miserable. But when I started having the relationship of feeding and giving, then when I came back and chanted, my chanting was good. So what happened from my lower nature, which was fear, when the dogs came, I was fearful. So we are living, most of us are living in our lower nature. Fear, approval-seeking behavior, control, enjoying, always obligations, time-bound activities, always struggling. This is all lower nature. But when we are activating our higher nature, when we live by principles of compassion, integrity, honesty, truthfulness, detachment, determination, kindness. So when we live by those principles, we invoke our higher self, and that helps us even practice spiritual life better. Like, you know, for me, japa, to be very honest, my 16 rounds it's not like an ecstatic, it's more of a duty because I've taken a vow. I perform that duty. But japa becomes a drag at times. But my home state is traditions, traditional temples. Temple atmosphere is I can sit in a temple for a long time. I feel very peaceful. So I feel at home when I'm in a temple atmosphere. And here we have 2-3 old temples which are thousands of years old. So when I go to these temples, so anyway I have to chant 16 rounds, which takes me 2 hours. So when I chant my rounds at home, it's like a drag. But when I go to these temples and I sit there and I chant, it becomes so easy to chant. And in fact, there are many times, it takes me 2 hours to chant my 16 rounds. But when I'm in a temple atmosphere, I can sit for 3 hours. Because what I've done is, I've added spiritual activities within my home state. I have recognized what is my home state. Like for me, journal writing, I can write journals for a long time. And I feel very much comfortable. Now, I also know that remembrance of Krishna is our goal. But when I write journals, I write about myself, I, me, mine. But I know this is not correct. Because Rupa Goswami says bhakti means remembering Krishna. So what I started doing, in my journals, in between I would write a sentence or two about Krishna. Like, Krishna, thank you very much for this gift. And again, after one paragraph, 1 or 2 lines about Krishna, remembering Krishna. So when this increases, you see that you are adding Krishna within your home state. So therefore, we can fit in all our devotional activities. If we don't have a natural attraction for Krishna consciousness, no problem. At least recognize your home state by living and invoking your higher self. And then in that state, we can add Krishna Bhakti more naturally and more organically. And therefore, through this seminar, I was making an appeal to devotees, including myself. I'm reminding myself that let us dedicate some exclusive time every day in those activities that help us come closer to Krishna and offer our hearts to Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have so many examples. Now we have the fruit seller who came to Vrindavan with a basket full of fruits. But when Krishna came to her, and Krishna had nothing to offer but except a few grains, which was also slipping from his little tiny fingers. But the fruit seller was so overwhelmed with Krishna's beauty, and she was so attracted to Krishna that she filled Krishna's palm with all her fruits. And in return, Krishna just gave her a few grains. But she just wanted to give Krishna, and her basket was filled with gold and precious jewels. So this desire to give Krishna is where bhakti begins. How can I please you is where bhakti begins. When Krishna entered Kamsa with his friends and Balram, Kubja, she was carrying sandalwood pulp for Kamsa. And Krishna told her, oh, beautiful woman, she was actually a hunchback lady. She was not beautiful. But when Krishna pleased her and Krishna flattered her, said, oh, where are you taking this? Whom are you taking this sandalwood for? Kubja was so attracted to Krishna, she offered all of that to Krishna, and her life became most auspicious. So Sudama was a florist who had beautiful garlands and flowers. So when Krishna came to his shop, Krishna gave everything to Sudama gave everything to Krishna. So this is we take one step. Krishna is all attractive, right? Krishna is Karshati. Krishna attracts our heart. This is the similarity between Krishna and Earth. See, Earth also has a power of attraction, which is what is called as gravity. Gravity, but the difference between gravity, Earth and Krishna is gravity or Earth attracts everything which is going up, it attracts it down. But Krishna's law of attraction is whatever is going down, Krishna attracts that person up towards him. So our consciousness drags down, but Krishna by definition is Karshati, attracts all of us. So we need to take that one step towards Krishna. We need to offer that one thing to Krishna with love. And then Krishna, as opposed to the law, Krishna means, and Krishna is an anti-gravitational thrust. He will help us break through these barriers. So therefore, we need to take that first step. And therefore, in our prayers, we say, Remadana bina berta daridra jivan dasa kori betan mori deha premadan. So Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, a devotee's mood is that, my dear Lord, Premadhan, I want something from you. I want wealth, but I want what? Premadhan. This is a wealth of prema, love. And without this wealth, Premadana, Bina, Bhyartha, waste. What is waste? Daridra Jivan. Our life is daridra, wretched and waste, without the wealth of love. And my dear Lord, I am your servant. I will serve you, but I'm not a selfless servant. I'm a selfish servant. I will serve you and I want my salary. What is that? Premadana bhina bhyartha daridra jivan dasa kori vetan more. Deha premadan, as vetan, as salary. My dear Lord, please give me your love. I want to love you. So this is the best gift Krishna can give us. And Krishna very mercifully gives us this gift of Krishna consciousness through his devotees. So we can get attached to devotees if we can have that one person alive, breathing, conscious, whom we want to please. You know, how can I please you? Krishna is a prayer to Krishna. And in between Krishna and ourselves, we have other devotees. If we follow the principle of a person to please, if I do something because I want to please, like if I'm giving this class, and if I think of a few devotees I really want to please, so that desire to please helps me experience soft-heartedness. And if I want to please some genuine devotees of Krishna, and if I connect those devotees to Krishna, then that desire to please devotees will help me experience Krishna's love. Therefore, Kapila Dev, in the third canto, we find this beautiful verse. Prasangam ajaram pasham kavayo atmano vidu saeva sadhusho kruto mokshadvaram apavrutam. Prasangam ajaram pasham. The kavayo atmano vidu, great intelligent people, learned philosophers, great scholars have deduced that attachment is like a python's leash. It's very tightening, it's choking, it's suffocating, it's frustrating. Attachment is very bad. Prasangam ajaram pasham kavayo atmano vidu sa eva. But that same attachment, if it is transferred to devotees, sa eva sadhusho kruto moksha dvaram apavritam, it will open the doors of liberation. So let us get attached to Srila Prabhupada's representatives. I began this seminar 5 days ago by giving the examples of Devamrit Maharaj, Satyavandan Maharaj, Kadam Kanan Maharaj, Jayadit Maharaj, so many devotees who are offering their heart in Krishna consciousness. And just seeing them practice bhakti inspires us so much. So let us get attached to these wonderful devotees of Krishna and let us hear their classes. Let us have a desire and aspiration to serve them wholeheartedly. And with that desire to please a devotee, when we render devotional service to Krishna, Krishna will fill our hearts with love. And therefore, through devotees, we can come closer to Krishna. So this is my humble presentation. And tomorrow, today I have very little time now for question answers. But tomorrow, which is the 17th of June, so we will have the last session. Although this seminar was supposed to be 5 days, but we will now have this seminar for 6 days. And the last session tomorrow will be questions and answers. I already received some 7 or 8 questions. So that plus whatever questions come today, we'll take those questions tomorrow, and that will be the concluding session of this seminar. I sincerely thank all of you for attending these 5 days and giving me a chance to share these 2 principles I wanted to share in this seminar. First was the importance of being in our home state, which is a state where we can connect to Krishna the best. And this is very, very individual and personal for each devotee. So we can know what is our home state when we feel safe doing that activity, when we don't want any name, fame, honor from that activity, when that activity or that state of existence fills our heart with love, a sense of shelter. We are happy to be small and we want to serve. And it is a stage of spontaneous offering. And that is when we feel worthy and loved by Krishna. And that is also a stage which is free of fear, control, anxiety, enjoyment tendency, running, cutting timelines, deadlines. It is free of struggle. It is a stage of receiving and listening and absorbing in Krishna. So this is home state is the concept that I wanted to share through this seminar. And I also wanted to explain to the pastime of the Brahmana Patni and Vritrasur's example that we need to practice hearing, service, investing emotions in our Krishna consciousness, and beginning the surrender process. And as Vritrasur says, in his last prayer, he says, "My dear Lord, that I want to get attached to your devotees." Out of this 4 verses of the last verse, which I'm unable to recollect now, Vritrasur is saying, Tvanmaya Atma Atmajadaragesh Asakta Chitta Senanata Bhuyat. So is Mamottama Shloka Janeshu Sakyam Samsara Chakre Brahmatasva Karmabhi. He's saying, my dear Lord, Mama Uttama Shloka Janeshu Sakyam. I want best friendship. I want friendship with your devotees, my dear Krishna. This is the aspiration of Vritrasur. He is asking the Lord that give me friendship with devotees, and that is what we are getting through the beautiful International Society for Krishna Consciousness that Srila Prabhupada established. Mama uttama shloka janeshu sakyam samsara chakre brahmatasva karmabhi. So we are wandering in the cycle of birth and death. The best relief is attachment to devotees and friendship with devotees. Tanmaya atma madadaragesh asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. All my attachments to home, property, wealth, position, office, job, all the attachments will dissolve away when I get attached to you and to your wonderful devotees who will give me your wealth, your love. So therefore, let us resolve to improve and increase our bhakti and our spiritual practices and invest our heart into it by remembering Krishna, by offering Krishna something in a spirit of love, in a sincere mood of love, with the mood, how can I please you? And if we have one devotee at least, a person to please in our lives, then bhakti experience will become complete and more satisfying to us. I sincerely thank you for attending these 5 days, and tomorrow we will take questions and answers. Thank you very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.